Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and trends shaping our cities and communities. From Sydney to other major cities around the world, renters are facing unprecedented pressure as prices soar out of control. New data reveals that in some parts of Australia, rents have risen by a staggering 80% since the COVID-era rent freeze. This means that for many people, especially those living in inner-city areas, the dream of owning their own home is becoming increasingly elusive. Instead, they're being forced to compete with international students and other renters for limited apartments, driving up prices even further. We're seeing this play out in neighborhoods like Zetland, Chippendale, and Haymarket in inner Sydney, where rents have jumped by between $367 and $452 a week. But it's not all bad news. Some suburbs, such as Hunters Hill, Avalon Beach, and Hornsby Heights, are experiencing slower rental price growth, offering a glimmer of hope for renters. So, what is driving these changes? Experts point to a range of factors, including federal policies on negative gearing, the current house price slump, and local factors like proximity to employment and education zones. It's a complex issue, and there are no easy answers. However, one thing is clear: increasing housing supply in areas where people want to live is crucial to addressing the crisis. The New South Wales government has taken steps to overhaul the planning system and focus on transport-oriented development, which could help alleviate some of the pressure. But more needs to be done to balance the needs of investors with those of ordinary residents who are struggling to make ends meet. As we continue to explore this critical issue, we'll be examining the potential solutions and hearing from experts and everyday people affected by the rental crisis. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. We're diving into a complex and sensitive issue in the Middle East, where a group of senior diplomats from France and the UK have accused Israel of ethnic cleansing in the West Bank. This accusation comes after a series of incidents, including the killing of a Palestinian teen by Israeli settlers and the destruction of homes in the occupied territories. According to reports from France 24, over 100 former senior French and UK diplomats have urged their governments to take action against Israel's policies in the West Bank, which they claim are aimed at destroying any prospect of a viable Palestinian state. The diplomats argue that Israel's actions are in violation of international law and are causing irreparable harm to the Palestinian people. It's essential to note that this is a highly contested issue, with both Israelis and Palestinians presenting different narratives and claims. The Israeli government has consistently maintained that its actions in the West Bank are necessary for security reasons and to protect its citizens from terrorism. Meanwhile, tensions between Israel and Turkey are escalating, with a recent confrontation over an Israeli attack on a Syrian airfield. This incident has raised concerns about regional instability and the potential for further conflict. As we strive to provide a balanced perspective on this issue, it's crucial to acknowledge the deep-seated emotions and historical complexities involved. We'll continue to monitor developments in the Middle East and provide updates as more information becomes available. In the interests of fairness and accuracy, we want to emphasize that the situation in the Middle East is multifaceted, with various parties having legitimate concerns and grievances. Our goal is to present the facts as they are known, without taking sides or promoting any particular agenda. As we wrap up today's program, we're shifting our focus to the escalating tensions between the United States and Iran. The U.S. is preparing a new campaign of economic pressure on Iran, with President Donald Trump warning countries against maintaining trade ties with Tehran. According to Kim Gottis, a distinguished fellow at Columbia University Institute of Global Politics, sanctions remain a blunt tool that will deepen hardship for ordinary Iranians. However, Tehran's weakened regional network and growing economic strain could make the latest pressure campaign different from those of the past 47 years. Mohsen Rezai, the head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, stated that Iran would target U.S. economic interests if sanctions continue, likening their response to an earthquake. China has opposed U.S. sanctions, while the UAE has suspended all trade and financial transactions with Iran. As the situation continues to unfold, it's essential to consider the potential consequences of these actions on the global economy and regional stability. The use of economic sanctions as a tool of foreign policy is a complex issue, with proponents arguing that it can be an effective way to exert pressure on a nation, while critics argue that it can have devastating effects on civilians and may not always achieve its intended goals. To provide some context, the U.S. has imposed sanctions on Iran in various forms since 1979 Islamic Revolution. These sanctions have had a significant impact on Iran's economy, limiting its access to international markets and hindering its ability to develop its oil and gas sectors. However, Iran has also developed strategies to circumvent these sanctions, including using alternative currencies and trading partners. As we move forward, it's crucial to monitor the situation closely and consider multiple perspectives. The international community should be aware of the potential risks and consequences of escalating tensions between the U.S. and Iran. We will continue to follow this story and provide updates as more information becomes available. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.